So in this lecture, I am planning to give a discussion on moment of inertia, its definition, then major theorems on moment of inertia. After that, the calculation of moment of inertia of various geometrical bodies. So, according to Newton's law, every body maintains its state of rest or motion until an external agency acting a force on it. Okay, so Newton's first law is this statement of Newton's first law is that every body continues its state of rest or motion until an external force is acting on it. This property is called inertia. So, inertia we can define as the property of a body which opposes any external force acting on it. Okay. Similarly, if a body is possessing a rotational motion, what will happen? If a body possessing a property called moment of inertia, if it is experiencing any rotational motion, that is, a body possesses a property which opposes any external torque acting on it, so that it changes its rate of rest or uniform rotation. Okay, so we can define a property called moment of inertia. So if a body possesses a property which opposes any external torque tending to cause a change in its state of rest or uniform rotation, then that property is called moment of inertia. And this moment of inertia is depending upon the mass of the body and also on the square of the distance of the particle of the mass from the axis of rotation. So we can define moment of inertia as I is equal to m r square. Where m is the mass of the body and r square is the square of the distance of that particular mass from the axis of rotation. Okay, so the moment of inertia, if you consider the moment of inertia of a rigid body, now let us consider a rigid body is rotating about an axis. Okay, so the body is composed of, so we can assume that the body is composed of large number of masses. So these small masses are m1, m2, m etc. up to mn, and all this the distance of these masses, that is the perpendicular distance of these masses from the axis of rotation, are, let us take it as r1, r2, etc. up to rn. Okay, that is, a body is composed of a large number of particles of masses m1 and m2, etc., and all these particles are at a distance r1, r2, etc. from the axis of rotation. So if you multiply the masses of each particle with the perpendicular distance from the axis, and then we add up all these things, that is, each mass multiplied with the square of the distance from the axis, then add up all the masses, that is, I can be defined as m1 r1 square plus m2 r2 square plus etc. There is a correction in the slides, that is m2 r2 square plus etc. Okay, so this simply we can say that summation over I mi ri square. So the moment of inertia of the rigid body can be taken as the sum of the moment of inertia of all the constituent masses of the body. Okay, so in simple terms, moment of inertia about an axis is the sum of the products of all the masses and the square of the distance from the axis of rotation. Now we will see what is the radius of gyration. So the radius of gyration of a body is the radial distance from the axis of rotation, such that the square of that distance multiplied with the total mass of the body gives the moment of inertia of the body. Clear? So radius of gyration of a body is the radial distance from the axis of rotation. Okay, it is a distance from the axis of rotation such that the square of that distance, that square of radius of gyration, if you multiply with the total mass of the body, that will give the moment of inertia. Okay, so we can define I is equal to Rm is a total mass and k is a radius of gyration. A square of radius of gyration, k square, multiplied with m will give you the moment of inertia of the body. So this moment of inertia we have already defined as summation over m r square. So radius of gyration can be obtained as square root of I by m, where I is the moment of inertia of the body, m is the total mass of the body. Okay, so therefore the total mass of a body may be supposed to be concentrated at a radial distance k as moment of inertia of the body is concerned. Okay, we can assume that the total mass of the body is concentrated at a radial distance k as the moment of inertia is concerned. Okay, k is simply defined as the, you can assume that it is the mass of the body concentrated at a particular distance from the axis of rotation. Now let us define the rotational kinetic energy of the body. A body, so similar case, similar to the previous case, we are assumed that a body is composed of a large number of masses m1, m2, etc. all are at a distance r1, r2 from the axis. Then total kinetic energy of the body can be obtained as kinetic energy of the first body, that is half mv square, m1 v1 square. Kinetic energy of the second body, half m2 v2 square, plus etc. But we have already obtained a relation between linear velocity and angular velocity, that is v is equal to r omega. So v1 can be written as r1 omega and v2 is equal to r2 omega, etc. Because omega is same for all body, all masses, because the total body is vibrating, the whole the uh, rigid body is rotating with the angular velocity omega. So the angular velocity is same for all the constituent particles, but the velocity will be different. V1 is equal to r1 omega, v2 is equal to r2 omega, etc. The total kinetic energy can be written as half m1, we substitute for v1, half m1 r1 square omega square, half m2 r2 square omega 2 square, plus etc. omega square, etc. Next we will take out half and omega from the expression, so we can write half into m1 r1 square plus m2 r2 square plus etc. into omega square. So the square bracket terms in the expression is nothing but your I, moment of inertia of the body. So m1 r1 square plus m2 r2 square plus etc. is nothing but your I, moment of inertia I. So the total expression can be written as T is equal to I omega square. So the rotational kinetic energy of the body is nothing but T is equal to half I omega square. Now let us see some of the major theorems on moment of inertia. There are two theorems. It is very useful when we are calculating the moment of inertia of various geometrical shapes. So first one is parallel axis theorem. Second one is the perpendicular axis theorem. So we will see, we will try to define and then prove the parallel axis and axis theorem. Now the parallel axis theorem is defined as the moment of inertia of a rigid body about any axis is equal to the sum of the moment of inertia about a parallel axis passing through the center of mass and the product of the mass of the body and the square of the distance between the two particles. So moment of inertia of a rigid body about any axis is equal to the sum of the moment of inertia about a parallel axis passing through the center of mass. So we can assume that we know the moment of inertia of the body, which is of the body passing about an axis passing through the center of mass, that is ICM. And if you wanted to find out the moment of inertia of the body about any axis which is parallel to the center of mass direction, then the moment of inertia about that axis can be obtained as I is equal to moment of inertia about the center of mass plus mass into mass of the body into square of the distance, where a is the distance between the center of mass and the axis which we are talking about. So m a square. So I is equal to ICM plus m a square. This is the definition of parallel. Now we will try to prove the parallel axis theorem. Let us consider a rigid body of mass m. Let ICM be the moment of inertia about an axis passing through the center of mass ICM. Then this axis AB axis is the axis which is parallel to z dash at a distance a. So let us consider a point P which is at a distance y from the center of mass axis, and so that the total distance from AB to the P will be a plus y. So summation over moment of inertia of the body of the point mass m about AB is m into y plus a whole square. This will be m into, there is one m into a square plus y square plus 2ab. I will be this expanding my square ma square to may square. The first expression my square summation over my square is nothing but the moment of inertia about the center of mass axis, because y is the distance of the point mass from the center of mass. And the second expression, summation over ma square, will be written as a square into summation over m, because a is a constant distance from the z dash axis to the AB axis. So a square into summation over m will give total ma square. Now you consider the third part of the equation, 2m into summation over ay. Here this summation will be equal to 0, because we are considering that all point masses about an axis through a center of mass adds up to 0. Okay, so all masses, so this is our center of mass. Okay, ay will be, if this is ay, there is another point which corresponding to minus ay. Okay, so this is ay. So there is all point, there will be each point corresponding to the one side will have another point on the other side with the opposite design. If you add up all that value, a summation over ay, this is a into y. Similarly, for each ay value, there will be positive and negative values. If you do the summation over all that value, that will give you a 0 value, because symmetrically, if you add all points, that will give you 0 value. So, substituting all that things in the above equation, you will get I equal to ICM plus MA square, which is the proof of the parallel axis. Now, perpendicular axis theorem. Now, if we consider the perpendicular axis theorem, it is defined as the moment of inertia of a planar body about an axis perpendicular to its plane is equal to the sum of the moment of inertia about two perpendicular axes lying in the plane of the body. So, which is not, it's very clear. If you have an axis which is perpendicular to the plane, and if you have two more axes which are perpendicular, two perpendicular axes lying in the plane of the body. See, x and y axis, you can consider the z axis is perpendicular to the plane. X and y axis are two planes, two axes which are lying in the plane of the body but perpendicular to z axis. Then in that case, the moment of inertia of the body about the perpendicular axis, that is about z axis, will be equal to the sum of the moment of inertia about x and y axis. That is axis theorem. Now we will prove it. Now let us consider uh, m. Consider a body of total mass m. Let pxy is a point lying in the body. Okay, so let z and z axis. So if you consider there is an axis z dash axis. Okay, and there is a point pxy. Okay, pxy. So this point is pxy. Okay, so moment of inertia of that point with respect to the z dash axis is nothing but the mass of the point mass into mass of the point mass at p into the square of the distance, that is this r. The square of the distance is nothing but uh, this distance from O to this pin OP. So OP is nothing but square root of x square plus y square. The square of that will be m into x square plus y square. This if you Pythagoras theorem, if you apply, so this x will be nothing but r will be nothing but square root of x square plus y square. So this m into this distance r square will be m into x square plus y square. So this m is equal to, so moment of inertia about this axis will be summation over all values, summation over m x square plus y square, that is summation over mx square plus summation over my square. Iz is equal to ix plus iy. This is straightforward proof of the moment of inertia of the body perpendicular to the plane. So it is very clear, moment of inertia of the body Iz about an axis perpendicular to the plane Iz is nothing but the sum of moment of inertia about two perpendicular axes Ix and Iy lying in the plane of the body, Ix plus Iy. Now let us find out the moment of inertia of a thin body. Okay, so we will consider two cases. First one will be moment of inertia about an axis through its center and perpendicular to its length. So moment of inertia about an axis which is passing through the center and perpendicular to its length. Okay, so we consider that the body is a uniform rod of mass m and L be the length of the body. M is the total mass of the body and L is the total length of the body. Then mass per unit length can be written as m by L. Okay, so if you consider a small element which is at some distance y from the axis is this one. There is a small element. Okay, so this length of the small element is, let us take it as dy. Okay, so if mass, then mass of the element, mass per unit length, we know that is m by L. Okay, mass of the element, mass of per unit length we know. So if we know the mass per unit length, if you multiply the length of that element dy, you will get the total mass. M by L is mass per unit length, dy is the length of the small element. So m by L into dy will give you the mass of that element. Then moment of inertia of that element with respect to the this axis is given by this mass into square of the distance. This mass is given by m by L into dy. Then distance will be y. Let us consider that y is the distance of that point element from the axis of rotation. That will then moment of inertia of the element will be m by L dy into y square. Now if you calculate the moment of inertia of the whole body, you have to integrate this above expression between the limits minus L by 2 plus L by 2. So this origin is taken as, this is taken as origin. So this distance is taken as minus L by 2 and this distance is taken as plus L by 2. So if you have to integrate from minus L by 2 to plus L by 2, so m by L m y square by L dy between the integrating between the limits minus L by 2 plus L by 2. Then integration m by L is a constant that will take it out. Then integrating y square dy will give you y cube by 3 between the limits minus L by 2 plus L by 2. Then when applying the limit on solving, you will get moment of inertia of a rigid um, thin rod of length L and mass m is given by I is equal to m L square by 12. Now we will find out the moment of inertia of the same body about an axis through one end and perpendicular to its length. So let us consider an axis y which is passing through the point O, which is at one end of the body and at a distance L by 2 from the center of mass axis. So parallel axis theorem states that I is equal to ICM plus MA square. Okay, here ICM we have already calculated ML square by 12 and uh, plus ma square. A is actually the distance from the center of mass axis to the given axis. So this distance between these two axes are given by L by 2. So just substituting in the above equation, we will get ml square by 12 plus m into a square is L square by 4. So on solving, you will get ml square by 3. Now we will move over to the moment of inertia of the circular disc. Okay, the circular disc, we assume that there is a circular disc of mass capital M and radius r, capital R. Now first we will calculate the moment of inertia about an axis passing to the center and perpendicular to the plane. Okay, perpendicular to its plane. So that is z axis. Z is the axis which is passing through the center and perpendicular to its plane. So we assume that there is a large number of disks. So that the whole circular ring is assumed to be consisting of large number of point masses, and uh, each point is taken as having a mass equal to small m. So let moment of inertia of the point mass about an axis is given by mr square, small mr square. Okay, circular disk mr square. So if we wanted to calculate the total moment of inertia, you need to sum all that quantity, that is summation over mr square. So r square, r is the radius, so the radius is a constant, the summation over m will give capital mr square. So the moment of inertia of the circular disk ring of radius r is given by mr square. Okay, so this is the moment of inertia about an axis perpendicular to its plane and passing through the center. Now, if you calculate about the diameter, again you are applying the perpendicular axis theorem. I z, we know I z is the moment of inertia mr square. So according to perpendicular axis theorem, Iz is equal to Ix plus Iy. Iz we know mr square. So Ix and Iy, because of the symmetry, you can take Ix equal to Iy equal to I. So mr square plus I plus I2. I will be mr square. So 2I is equal to mr square. So I is equal to mr square by 2. This is the moment of inertia about the diameter of the moon.